Coming up on today's Philadelphia 76ers now, we're going to dive into a new report from Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN on the latest Sixers trade buzz. Also, Daryl Morey speaking ahead of the NBA trade deadline. All that coming your way. But first, I hate the Boston Celtics, and I can't describe how much I hate the Boston Celtics. And to see Celtics today under the Chat Sports umbrella, inside the walls of where I work every day, beating us in subs this month, I won't accept it. I can't stand it. That green logo makes me want to throw up. So support the show. Hit that subscribe button. And as we approach the NBA trade deadline, we've been cooking up some heaters here on the show, and you don't want to miss our coverage. So please, let's beat Boston, and then you're also a winner because we beat the Celtics and you get some Sixers content. All right, to Adrian Wojnarowski here, a new WOJ Bomb. He appeared on NBA Today and revealed the types of players that the Sixers are targeting going into the deadline coming up here at the start of February. Here's what he had to say. Daryl Morey always wants to be involved in big trades. There may not be any of those out there for him, but I think like a few of the other contenders in the Eastern Conference, it may be role players. It may be shooting. It might be playmaking and another backup big. Well, that makes a lot of sense because when you take a look at the 76ers' needs currently, they could use another shooter. They could use another playmaker behind Tyrese Maxey. And you could certainly use a backup big. And it's crazy to me. Throughout Joel Embiid's entire career, I think they've had one legitimate backup, Andre Drummond, and then they traded him in the Ben Simmons deal to bring in James Harden. They need to fortify the backup center position. For whatever reason, they continue to not do that. So what say you? What do the Sixers need more? Do they need a shooter? Do they need a playmaker? Do they need a backup big? Show us that you know ball down in the comment section right now. As for the best shooters available, here's our list, and it features a couple of different players here. Buddy Hield can't play a lick of defense, but he certainly has the flamethrower from deep. This year with the Pacers, he's knocking down about 39% of his three-point attempts. I'm glad that our New York Knicks host, Marshall Green, is not here right now because he loved Quentin Grimes. He now hates Quentin Grimes. Grimes this year, he's knocking down about 37% of his attempts from long range. I really like Bogdan Bogdanović. I love his lack of fear, 36% from three this year. But I think sometimes you have to think about this. You put him on a team with Tyrese Maxey as well as Joel Embiid, he gets a lot of open looks. You know what that means? Butter from distance. Kevin Huerter of the Sacramento Kings. Don't like his defense either. I think he's a little bit too small to be a starter, making decent money, 36% from long range. And then you have Gary Trent Jr., who's kind of a hyper-athletic wing, 41.7% from three-point range. I wouldn't hate that. And obviously, familiarity with head coach Nick Nurse. If you just want shooting and you want a guy who's going to let it fly from distance, that is Buddy Hield. If you want shooting and a young player who's shown flashes of being very solid, who also gives you good defense, then you go the route of Quentin Grimes. So you think about some of these players here, certainly some desirable options for Philadelphia. From shooters, like your boy Chase Sr., to playmakers, and don't doubt me, I'm wet from distance. Well, Malcolm Brogdon of the Portland Trailblazers, very good playmaker. Could play on ball, could play off ball. Solid defense. Sixth man of the year last year. Tyus Jones, Washington Wizards. Asking price might be a little bit too high. Markelle Fultz, mentally fickle with Philadelphia. Not a bad player. Able to get back on track with Orlando, but that backcourt, pretty loaded for Orlando, so he's not really getting a lot of time. And then you have DeLon Wright of the Washington Wizards, who just fired their head coach, and they continue to be probably the most dysfunctional organization in basketball. I think that Malcolm Brogdon is the clear best choice. We talked about him on Wednesday's show, producer Jake Chipper and myself. We just have come to the agreement that with what the Sixers need, what the asking price might be, and what he brings to the team as far as fit and skill set, it just makes the most sense. The price for Tyus Jones, I think, has been a little bit too steep for Philadelphia. And then as for DeLon Wright, he would be a solid backup option. I'm just not sure how much he's going to be able to move the needle. And then it's the best backup bigs available. You go back to the well of the awful Washington Wizards, Daniel Gafford. I would like Andre Drummond, but I think Chicago really values him. Kelly Olynyk, if you want a floor stretcher who's also going to knock down some shots from downtown. And then Nick Richards, also of an awful organization in the Charlotte Hornets, who are said to be selling. They already traded away Terry Rozier to the Miami Heat in a deal that I absolutely love for Miami because Scary Terry, perfect for that organization. Gafford is young. He's 25. He's also pretty affordable at $12.4 million. And you know what Andre Drummond can bring. Physicality and honestly one of the best rebounders of this generation. No cap. Very, very good rebounder who can crash the glass. The issue with Andre Drummond, you cannot play him down the stretch because he's awful from the line. Kelly Olynyk, playoff experience. He can stretch the floor. I wouldn't hate that pairing alongside Joel Embiid as a four-man, but also a different look for the Sixers with Joel Embiid out, getting some rest, him getting spelled. You put in Kelly Olynyk, and then you can just kind of go spread out offense led by Nick Nurse, and Kelly Olynyk is going to be able to give you that floor stretching ability for Philadelphia. So we just took a look at a lot of players. I want you to drop me a name down in the comments section. Which of these players fits best with the Sixers? As for what we're getting into next, takeaways from Daryl Morey's interview on 97.5 The Fanatic, a peek into what Daryl Morey, uber-aggressive basketball executive, might be thinking going into the deadline. But first, I like to eat up when I play basketball. I like to eat up around the perimeter because I got that shot. I also like to eat up with Factor Meals, and you can do that as well, getting 50% off when you use the code NBAChat50. Get started here in 2024 so that you're ready to tackle your fitness and your health goals. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning, and it sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals that are delivered straight to your door like a Tyrese Maxey assist. With over 35 meals to choose from every week, including options like keto, calorie smart, vegan plus, and veggie and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons. 55 weekly add-ons. That's like a Joel Embiid box score. You'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. So, nowadays, I'm covering the NFL. I'm covering the NBA. I do a little college football, Major League Baseball. I do it all here at Chat Sports. I don't have a lot of time to go to the grocery store to meal prep, so pick your pre-made meals, prepped and cooked to perfection. You heat them up and you enjoy them, and you save money in addition to time. FactorMeals.com/NBAChat50. Now, Daryl Morey discussing the NBA trade deadline, and of course, you have to take some of these interviews with a grain of salt. He's not going to really play his hand like a good poker player, and he's also going to try to drive the trade value up for some of the players on his roster. Here's one quote. I think we're one of the very few championship contenders. I think you have to say Boston is the favorite right now to come out of the East. It is a team that we focus a lot on. I do think Milwaukee also is right there with us. And ladies and gentlemen, this news just coming in. Glenn Rivers is getting paid $40 million over the next 3.5 years. It's absolutely insane. I don't call him Doc because there's only one Doc in the history of Philadelphia. That's Dr. J. Julius Irving. Now, Daryl Morey, what this tells me, he knows this team has a shot this season, and that's why he might try to improve this roster going into the deadline. He's going to do what it takes to make this team better right now, and hopefully we get Nick Nurse against Glenn Rivers in the second round so Nick Nurse can pants Glenn Rivers. Daryl Morey on Nicholas Batum and Marcus Morris. Nick Batum, Marcus Morris, both are given more than we probably thought going into the trade for James Harden. Nick has been maybe the best pairing with Joel Embiid for that kind of player since Joel's been here. I know Joel maybe feels that way. You have to appease Joel Embiid. And if Embiid is very happy playing alongside Batum, and he understands that this fit is good in the regular season, but also translates to the playoffs, and he enjoys playing alongside Nick Batum, and you just watch the games, you do your self-scouting, and you see that he's playing really good ball, heady player, good defender, knocks down the three, can mix it up down low. You got to keep Batum. And then Morris, I don't think he's going anywhere either. That's at least what it sounds like, but you can't rule anything out completely. But they both feel safe to me. More from Daryl Morey here. I think we've got a sense of the guys who have played enough minutes. Coach Nurse, we've seen players play within a system and structure. We just had like a 5-hour meeting focusing on the trade deadline. Can you imagine having a 5-hour work meeting? These guys right here to my right, they stand on business. They're about business, and they mean business. And from the jump, if the Sixers couldn't get Jay right, I said Nick Nurse, my number one coaching candidate. I'm so glad that they hired him. He's a tactician. He makes adjustments in-game, in series. We've seen that all year, and he has this team playing hard and playing smart. Morey on the 76ers season here. I'd give the same message to the fans I gave before the season, before the trade. Evaluate us at the right time, which is in the playoffs, and how the team looks going into the playoffs. And look, Joel Embiid having a record-setting season. He has to show up in the playoffs, but I have so much more confidence in this team, and it's refreshing to watch this team led and coached by Nick Nurse as compared to Glenn Rivers, because you felt as though there was a roof over their head. This year, though, you have hope, and you know that going into a playoff series, you most likely have the edge with Nurse, even if he's going up against potentially an Eric Spoelstra or other good coaches in this league. What is your confidence level in Morey to be able to improve this team, to get them on this path of winning an NBA championship? Scale it for me from 1 to 10. Don't forget to subscribe as you venture down to the comment section to let us know how you're feeling about that answer. Very easy. You just hit that sub button, and we can beat Boston Celtics today.